Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family, and this is blooper number 3, and Rama is being a baby in the background. He wants us to go to bed, but we have a lot of information that we want to share, so here we are.
Yeah, actually, I think we could have kept going, but I'm sure there will be a lot to talk about in the morning. Meanwhile, this is how we started our day over on Patreon. It's all about to blow. USA and BRICS perhaps going to war in South America. What's that all about? 4 million more is the key word. Migrants on the way. And a large 7.3 quake. Let's start over here. So we see U.S. War Chief General Lloyd Austin tells Congress that he will order U.S. troops to fight Russia unless Congress gives more money to Ukraine. Now, that's the way this is being worded by U.S. Civil Defense News. He said that in a roundabout way. And also we will show you another statement by another official that's kind of verifying that. He stated in a closed-door session that he would be forced to send our kids to fight unless Congress submits to President Biden's direct orders for another $60 billion now. We know it's coming. I mean, it's obvious that it's coming. And now let's listen to an actual official statement here. And this is John Kirby, by the way.
And so we can't support Ukraine. Their chief advisor yesterday said they're likely to lose this war if they lose U.S. support. And Putin gets all of Ukraine, then what? Then where's he go? Because right then, he's up against the eastern flank of NATO. And if you think the cost of supporting Ukraine is high now, just imagine how much higher it's going to be. Not just in national treasure, but in American blood. If he starts going after one of our NATO allies, because as the president also said, we take our Article 5 commitments very seriously.
Okay, so read into that what you would read into that, and please do share in the comments.
Oh, I see a lot of puppetry and a lot of, I'm going to scare you and big scary monsters if you don't do what we say.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the system's not about taking care of people. It's not about exercising what the will of the American people is. Not at all. No, it's about a lot of things that people are really finally catching on to. Here you see an anti-cartel group out in Lukeville, Arizona. Spoke with them a bit about while they were at the port of entry this morning. They gather intel, work with some high-level peeps, and are not a militia. That's all this person is saying, and that's just Jeff from Cali. That looks pretty official there. What is this really all about? Well, what it is about in many ways is obviously many of us realize that the Trojan horse it's left the barn. There's millions, tens of millions of Trojan horses already in the country and more on the way. And meanwhile, the president's walking around the White House naked in the middle of the night, saying all sorts of strange things, wondering who he is. Well, he has a diaper. Yeah. Well, let's hope he has a diaper. Oh. And I'm only saying that because that's what I was just reading on some other tweets out there that we didn't share, but we will share this. Grand jury charges introductory allegations against who? Oh, Robert Hunter Biden. The United States of America is the plaintiff against Robert Hunter Biden, the defendant. So he has been charged with 9 federal tax crimes in the Central District of California. The indictment says that Biden spent millions on an extravagant lifestyle, including membership to sex clubs and more than $188,000 on adult entertainment, rather than paying his taxes. It does seem like some of that brown stuff might be sticking to the wall a little bit.
It might be, but when I see stuff like this, I think, oh my gosh, there's something else going to blow.
And it might be in Joe's diaper. But anyway, moving forward, Stanley Kubrick died of a heart attack in his sleep 6 days after showing the final cut of Eyes Wide Shut to Warner Brothers. Reportedly considered it his greatest contribution to the art of cinema. Many have speculated that he was murdered for it and for this scene, sharing this scene. Again, he is obviously an insider. This was a bizarre, twisted, disturbing movie that I didn't like. I did watch it because there was so much hubbub about it. And, I think it really does show exactly what goes on not only in Hollywood, but in D.C. and in London, probably in the King's Palace, all over, probably in the Vatican. I would venture to say there's things that go on in the Vatican that would absolutely blow minds. And, oh gosh, just as dark gets. And, there's so much that's out there in the open now that it makes you wonder. The U.S. government wants hunters to shoot 500,000 owls. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service wants hunters to shoot more than 500,000 barred owls to help protect other native species. They're an invasive species in the Pacific Northwest, originating on the U.S. East Coast, and they pose a huge threat to native protected species, including northern spotted owls. So they want to cull 500,000 of them over the next 30 years. Cute little guy. It hits me in so many different ways. Invasive species in the Pacific Northwest. Well, we're about to have an invasion in the Pacific Northwest. For those that haven't heard those rumors of Russian troops and Chinese troops up in Alaska and Canada, everything we've heard as far as these rumors of all sorts are all coming out to be true. Owls. Why does that get me wondering? It just triggers something in me, especially after, talking about Hunter Biden. Well, at Bohemian Grove, as this says, it's perfectly normal for the world's elite to do mock sacrifices to Satan under a giant owl statue. I feel it's symbolic. I absolutely feel it's a message, and I feel what they're saying is we're going to have to sacrifice some of our own.
I know, and I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, along the lines of, well, gosh, if they were to just simply turn this ship around and cull that many from the government, maybe things would work out well instead of focusing on just the animals or sending messages to the animals. I think the government's the invasive species, but, there's several different ways to look at it.
And one other movie, since we're moving pretty quickly, another super creepy movie, if you haven't seen it, is The Fourth Kind. And the scene with the owl. And in The Fourth Kind, it's just dang creepy, and especially at the end of the movie, too, because it's the Anunnaki. It's the Anunnaki and the owl. The owl. The owl is, again, associated with the Greys. And a lot of times they can make themselves look to the person looking at them like an owl. It's a glamour of sorts. But it's not an owl. It's actually a Grey. A lot of times with abductions, this is exactly what happens. And people might think they're seeing an owl outside the window, but they're not seeing an owl. It's not the owl's eyes that they're looking at. They're looking into the eyes of the Grey. At the end of the movie, too, The Fourth Kind, it's revealed what's doing all this. And this is, again, about abductions. It's the Anunnaki. And they even go into, explaining who they are, saying, again, we are your gods. We are your creators. This was a movie, again, if you have never seen it, do check it out. Maybe the acting isn't the best, but it's done in a documentary style, as you see. This actress, Mia Jovovich, is portraying this real-life doctor in the movie. Again, it's done kind of in a way like that. It's telling you a true life story. Although They are based on a lot. This is up in Alaska. It is based on a lot that has happened up in that triangle where people go missing up in Alaska all the time. And I'm sure a lot of people become meals for grizzlies and, et cetera, et cetera. But, yeah, the fourth kind. Do check it out. And there's the owl again. So, I feel there is a serious connection between this guy, and the owls with the grays. And maybe it's something like, well, we got to kind of sacrifice our own. They're catching on. Seychelles, blast site like a war zone, so says the president. A massive explosion at an industrial zone in Seychelles' main island, Mahé, left the place looking as if it went through a war. It ripped through a huge area and destroyed many different buildings in the area. Hardly anything left. What could possibly have exploded? The international airport was damaged, even though it was 2.5 miles away. 2.5 miles away. And it got damaged from the blast. That's a long distance. Interesting. What could ever it be? More than 170 casualties reported. Most were just light injuries. 5 people admitted to the hospital, 1 in intensive care. So, it's really weird. And they also had severe flooding there that actually did take 3 lives. When you look over here, you see police swoop in on Seychelles financial services firm hours after a new Pandora's paper probe. We did a video on Pandora's papers and it got removed years ago. And, again, there's so many shell companies created by other companies and people to hide money. Money laundering, guys. Money laundering, plain and simple. And tracking things down. This is, again, the elites trying to cover their tracks because a lot of things are being exposed right now.
And they do just everything they can to make it appear that the information is getting out there. But when we try to get it out there, it gets stomped on pretty fast. I don't know. There's just really a lot going on. Your head could spin. So right now it just feels like an uptick, definitely an uptick of actions and symbolism. And also what I'm picking up is a lot of conversations going on through the elites, through the headlines. So Mike was so right. You want to focus on the headlines right now because they're telling us a story if we could just read into it.
Absolutely. This is how everything is communicated to all different levels and layers of the system. The system is just a massive tangled web, and that goes back to Bohemian Grove as well. It definitely is a spider web of sorts, and it's interconnected on every level. You have obviously politicians, you have police, you have feds, obviously. You have the movie industry, you have the drug industry, you have the cartels, you have church leaders.
There's a lot. There's so many. And, it's like layers of an onion. And certain people kind of, they support other people. And sometimes they know and sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're just, making sure that they can make their house payment. So they choose not to look. Yeah, it's a world where we really have to look out for ourselves. And isn't this so cute? What is this little guy doing? This is so adorable. If you're not looking at the screen, please look. I just haven't seen anything so cute all day than this.
Well, how about this?
Oh, okay. This is cute. What's he's counting for him. Come on, you can do it. I need you to be strong, Dad.
So stay strong, guys. Yes, this is definitely an informational war. And please do share videos like this, ours and everybody else that's trying to awaken the rest of humanity to what's going on. Thanks again for your support. Much love. Source bless. Namaste.
Namaste.